An Irishman, 2 Englishmen, an Albanian, a Dutchman, and 6 Scotsmen walk onto the park. It sounds like the start of a joke, but instead it is part of a notable piece of Celtic history. In July 1995, those players gathered closely together. Their actions created a lasting symbol of the club, one that has repeated on countless occasions since then. This was the start of the famous Celtic Huddle, and this is the story of that moment, as well as its lasting importance. It was the 23rd of July 1995. The boys were in Germany for a pre-season tour. Their opponents in this fixture were semi-professional side Emden Kickers. The game itself was utterly forgettable, with the Celts losing 2-0 to their hosts. However, the significant moment of the day took place before the match had even started. As the teams prepared to kick off, Tony Mowbray called over the 11 Celtic players. In an action designed to boost team morale, they were gathered closely together, each leaning on the other, and words of encouragement were uttered amongst the tight group. Though no one that day knew it, this huddle would become a staple of the Celtic matchday experience, something in which players and fans would continue to participate. The origin of sporting huddles is unconnected to Celtic, Scotland, or even association football. Instead, it is believed to have started in an American football game connected to challenges faced by deaf players. Gallaudet University is located in Washington, D.C. and caters to students that are deaf or visually impaired. In the 1890s, one of their players, Paul Hubbard, noticed a problem. Hubbard worried that their opponents could read the sign language he was using to give instructions to his own team. Therefore, he came up with a solution. His teammates would all gather in closely together, ensuring no one could see the messages that were being shown to his team. And from here, the huddle was born. It has since spread right around the world, known in various sports including football, basketball, cricket, and many others. In fact, really any team event might make use of this tool. The huddle has been used sporadically at different points in Scottish football history, including by Celtic. In the 1940s, John Hogan used to encourage the team to do this, which caused certain problems. Many of the players were very embarrassed to be so close to their teammates on the pitch. Tommy Docherty, who later became a famous manager, explained that the team got round this by only doing it in the dressing room. However, this wasn't something the fans could see, nor was it done consistently. For that to happen, decades would have to pass and a big Englishman come to the boys. Tony Mowbray arrived at Celtic Park in 1991, having signed from Middlesbrough. A tough centre-half, he faced difficult times on and off the park. In a footballing sense, Celtic were very poor in this era, failing to win any trophies and often finishing as low as 5th in the table. It was also a time that saw a takeover of the club by Fergus McCann, which began to change the Celts' fortunes, and in 1995 they celebrated winning the Scottish Cup. However, Celtic's sporting problems were irrelevant compared to other challenges in Mowbray's life. Later in 1995, his wife Bernadette tragically died from breast cancer. There have been various claims that it was the trauma of dealing with Bernadette's illness that led to Mowbray introducing the huddle. However, both he and his teammates have repeatedly denied this. Mowbray himself once said that, "I take a great sense of pride in it, but it was nothing to do with my wife, as has been wrongly reported. It came out of adversity. The players needed to show real unity and togetherness. We needed to show the supporters we cared." Mowbray was a clear leader on the park, and he believed that the huddle would help the Celts build on their Scottish Cup victory. This was not perhaps the case instantly, but it has certainly proven to be the case in the intervening years. The site of the huddle is now an accepted part of Celtic's pre-match build-up. This is not simply for the men's first team, but it is used at all age levels and with the women's side as well. The teams come onto the park, the players gather, and they wait on the Celtic captain, who has gone to speak to the referee, and the opposition captain. When their leader returns, the players close in close together and listen to words of encouragement and similar from different people. It's become a code of the huddle that players don't reveal exactly what is being said when they are together. And when all of this is happening, shouts and cheers of backing emanate from the stands as the supporters try to make their own contribution. culminating in a giant roar when the players emerged from the huddle. There have been so many famous moments which have featured the huddle. Arguably the most prominent of these was the 2003 UEFA Cup final. The sight of the Celtic players gathered together in front of tens of thousands of fans is an iconic one. In fact, so successful has been the huddle that many Celtic players have continued the tradition even after leaving the club. For instance, Virgil van Dijk implemented the practice when he moved to Liverpool. As a football club, Celtic have officially embraced the huddle as well. Its prominence on different types of club merchandise, such as posters, mugs and other paraphernalia, is obvious evidence of this. Part of the strength of the huddle is the fact it's not simply the players who can participate. Instead, it's become a custom and an action for the fans too. As well as cheering when it is happening, the chant of "Let's all do the huddle" has become commonplace in the aftermath of one on-field success or another. This leads to thousands of fans clustered together, embracing arms and shoulders with those around them. This is similar to the fan action generally known as the Poznan, although in Celtic's case, it's always the club's own huddle the fans are referencing. In fact, at one point, the club even tried to get the Guinness Book of Records involved. They tried to set a record for the world's biggest huddle, although this is something that's not yet happened. These fan huddles aren't simply restricted to football grounds. At various times, small and large groups of supporters might take part in their own huddle, often in the middle of a road or prominent locations such as George Square. This could be in Scotland, Ireland, or even much further afield in places like the USA, Canada, Australia, and elsewhere. Sometimes the important moments in life are not obvious until later. As Celtic took to the field in July 1995 for a pre-season friendly, no one could possibly have known this moment would become an indelible part of the Celtic story. The 11 men who were part of that first gathering were Pat Bonner, Lee Martin, Tosh McKinlay, Malky Mackay, Tony Mowbray, Peter Grant, Brian McLaughlin, Rudy Vata, Pierre Van Hooijdonk, Andy Walker and John Collins. Their actions in starting the huddle will never be forgotten, especially the influence of Tony Mowbray. And since then, so many players and supporters have had the chance to emulate them and show their togetherness and backing. So, all together now, let's all do the huddle, let's all do the huddle. If you want to learn more about Celtic history, follow Hail Hail History on Twitter, X and Blue Sky. You can also take part in free Celtic history walks. Visit celticwalkingtours.wordpress.com for more information.